I just spent 72 hours straight testing every frontier AI model on the planet: Claude, GPT, Gemini, DeepSeek. What I discovered will shock you. And it's not what the tech companies want you to know. Anthropic just dropped their most powerful AI model ever. And it's not even close. 4.6 doesn't just beat every other AI on the planet in coding. It doesn't just crush GPT-5.2 in real-world work tasks. It does something no AI model has ever done before. It can read and actually understand 1 million tokens of context. That's roughly 7 full novels at once. And here's the thing most people are missing about this release. Let's be real for a second. Every few weeks, a new AI model drops, and everyone says it's the best ever. So what actually makes Opus 4.6 different? 3 things. First, this model thinks before it answers, not in the way previous models pretended to. Opus 4.6 genuinely pauses, reconsiders its own reasoning, catches its own mistakes, and then gives you a better answer. Anthropic's own engineers said the model brings more focus to the hardest parts of a task without anyone telling it to. It just knows where to spend its effort. Second, it doesn't forget. One of the biggest complaints about AI has been context rot. You're deep into a long conversation, and suddenly the AI forgets what you told it 20 minutes ago. Opus 4.6 was tested on a brutal benchmark called MRCR V2, basically hiding needles in a massive haystack of text and seeing if the model can find them. The previous model, Sonnet 4.5, it scored 18.5%. Opus 4.6, 76%. That's not an improvement. That's a completely different league. And third, it actually works. Not on toy benchmarks, on real jobs. Now, I know benchmark numbers can feel abstract, so let me break this down in plain English. There's a test called GDP-Val-AA. It measures how well an AI performs on tasks that actually make money: finance, legal work, business analysis. Real professional work. Opus 4.6 didn't just win, it beat OpenAI's GPT 5.2 by 144 ELO points. To put that in perspective, that means if you ran the same task on both models, Opus 4.6 would produce the better result about 70% of the time, and compared to its own predecessor, Opus 4.5, it beat that by 190 points. Then there's Terminal Bench 2.0, a test for agentic coding, meaning the AI writes code, runs it, debugs it, and iterates on its own. Opus 4.6 got the highest score of any model ever tested. Humanity's last exam, a test designed to be so hard that it stumps frontier models with questions from dozens of academic disciplines. Opus 4.6 leads every other model there too. And BrowseComp, which measures how well an AI can hunt down hard-to-find information online. Again, number 1. But here's what really caught my attention. It's not the benchmarks. It's what the companies actually using this model are saying. Notion called it less like a tool and more like a capable collaborator. GitHub said it's unlocking long-horizon tasks at the frontier. Riplet's president said it's a huge leap for agentic planning. And Cursor, one of the most popular AI coding tools, said Opus 4.6 stands out for its ability to navigate massive code bases. But here's the one that stopped me in my tracks. Norway's sovereign wealth fund, one of the largest investment funds on the planet, tested it on 40 cybersecurity investigations. In a blind ranking against previous Claude models, Opus 4.6 won 38 out of 40 times. Each test involved up to 9 sub-agents and over 100 tool calls. That's not a chatbot answering questions. That's an AI running complex security operations almost flawlessly. And this connects to something bigger that Anthropic is doing. Opus 4.6 isn't just a smarter brain. Anthropic built an entire ecosystem around it. First, agent teams in Claude Code. You can now spin up multiple AI agents that work together in parallel. Imagine you need a full code base reviewed. Instead of one agent reading through everything line by line, you deploy a team. They split the work, coordinate autonomously, and report back. This is how AI coding is going to work going forward. Second, adaptive thinking. Previously, developers had a simple on-off switch for extended thinking. Now, the model decides for itself when deeper reasoning is needed. It's like giving the AI the ability to know when a problem deserves 5 seconds of thought versus 5 minutes. Third, context compaction. Long conversations used to hit a wall when the context window filled up. Now, Claude can automatically summarize older parts of the conversation to make room for new information, without losing the important stuff. And fourth, Claude now works inside Excel and PowerPoint. It can ingest messy data, figure out the structure on its own, process it in a spreadsheet, and then build a branded presentation from it, all without you having to format a single cell. Now, here's the part that might surprise you. Usually, when an AI model gets dramatically smarter, safety takes a hit. Not this time. Anthropic ran what they're calling the most comprehensive safety evaluation of any model ever released. And Opus 4.6 actually matched or beat its predecessor on alignment, the same predecessor that was already their safest model to date. It showed lower rates of deception, sycophancy, and what they call encouragement of user delusions. Basically, telling you what you want to hear instead of the truth. And it has the lowest rate of over-refusals of any recent Claude model, meaning it doesn't unnecessarily refuse to answer harmless questions. Because of its enhanced cybersecurity abilities, Anthropic also built 6 new detection probes specifically to prevent misuse. And they're actually using the model to find and patch vulnerabilities in open-source software, turning its power into a defensive tool. Here's the kicker. The pricing hasn't changed. $5 per million input tokens, $25 per million output tokens. Same as before. For the 1 million token context window, there's premium pricing if you go over 200,000 tokens, but for most users, the cost stays the same. Opus 4.6 is available right now on Claude.ai through the API and on all major cloud platforms. If you're a developer, the model string is Claude Opus 4.6. We are living through the fastest period of AI advancement in history. Every month, the ceiling gets higher. If you're not paying attention, you're falling behind. If this video helped you understand what's happening, hit that subscribe button, because we cover every major AI development the moment it drops. I'll see you in the next one. 4 companies, 4 frontier AI models, all claiming to be the best. Today, we're putting them head-to-head in 6 rounds to find out which one actually wins. Claude Opus 4.6 from Anthropic, GPT-5.3 Codex from OpenAI, Gemini 3 Pro from Google, and DeepSeek V3.2, the open-source underdog from China. Let's go. Round 1, coding. The category every AI company wants to win right now. Terminal Bench 2.0 measures how well AI can actually work in a terminal, writing code, running it, debugging it, fixing it. Real agentic coding. GPT-5.3 Codex absolutely dominates here at 77.3%. Opus 4.6 comes second at 65.4%. DeepSeek V3.2 scores 46.4%. And Gemini 3 Pro lands around 54. On SWE Bench, real GitHub issues across production codebases. Opus 4.6 leads at about 80%. GPT 5.3 is close at 56.8 on the harder Pro version. DeepSeek hits 73 on verified. And Gemini is competitive in the mid-70s. But here's the thing, GPT 5.3 Codex is 25% faster than its predecessor and uses fewer tokens. It literally helped build itself. OpenAI used early versions to debug its own training. Round 1 goes to GPT 5.3 Codex, with Opus 4.6 right behind. Round 2, raw brainpower, math and science reasoning, GPQA Diamond, graduate-level science questions. Gemini 3 Pro leads everyone at 91.9%. DeepSeek V3.2 hits 82.4. Opus 4.6 around 77. GPT 5.2 was at 93.2 with Pro mode, so the 5.3 Codex variant likely matches that. AIM 2025, competition level math. GPT 5.2 scored a perfect 100%. DeepSeek V 3.2 hits 93.1. And DeepSeek's Speciale variant, it won gold medals at the International Math Olympiad, the ICPC World Finals, and the International Olympiad in Informatics, from an open source model. Now, one model I haven't talked much about yet has a secret weapon that could change this entire ranking. Stay with me. It's coming in round 4. Gemini 3 Pro takes this round. Its reasoning breadth is genuinely elite. Round 3, how much can each model hold in its head at once? Opus 4.6, 1 million tokens. That's roughly 7 full novels loaded simultaneously, and it actually uses that context. On the MRCR retrieval test, it scores 76% at finding hidden information deep inside massive documents. Gemini 3 Pro, also 1 million tokens input, with 64K output. GPT 5.3 Codex inherits GPT 5.2's 400,000 tokens, still strong, but less than half the others. DeepSeek V 3.2, 128,000 tokens, the smallest window, but it introduced something called DeepSeek Sparse Attention that makes long context processing dramatically cheaper. Opus and Gemini tie for this round. We've got a 3-way tie at the top, 3 models tied, 3 rounds left, and DeepSeek hasn't played its strongest card yet. If this breakdown is helping you, hit subscribe. I cover every major AI drop the moment it happens. Round 4, and this is where the entire competition gets flipped. Opus 4.6, $5 input, $25 output per million tokens. GPT 5.3 Codex, API pricing isn't published yet, but GPT 5.2 was $20 input, $60 output at the Pro tier. Gemini 3 Pro, $2 input, $12 output, very competitive. And then there's DeepSeek V 3.2, 28 cents input, 42 cents output. That's not a typo. DeepSeek is roughly 10 to 25 times cheaper than every other model on this list, and it's fully open source under an MIT license. You can download the entire 685 billion parameter model and run it yourself. For startups, researchers, and developers on a budget, nothing else even comes close. DeepSeek takes this round by a landslide, and suddenly the scoreboard looks very different. Round 5. What can each model do that nobody else can? Opus 4.6 introduces agent teams, multiple AI agents working in parallel on the same project, like having an AI engineering team. Plus, it now works inside Excel and PowerPoint. GPT 5.3 Codex is the first AI model that helped create itself. It debugged its own training runs. It also scores 64.7% on OS World. real desktop computer tasks, where humans score 72. That's approaching human-level computer use. Gemini 3 Pro has Deep Think mode for ultra-complex reasoning, processes video and audio natively, and is deeply integrated into Google's entire ecosystem. Search, Docs, Android, everything. DeepSeek V3.2 is the first model to integrate thinking directly into tool use. Most models either think or use tools. DeepSeek does both simultaneously across 1,800 environments, and with the Special variant winning gold medals at international competitions as an open-source model, that's historic. I'm giving this to Gemini for ecosystem breadth, but honestly, all four have killer features. Final round, safety. And this matters more than you think. Opus 4.6 went through what Anthropic calls the most comprehensive safety evaluation ever done on a frontier model. It has the lowest over-refusal rate of any Claude, meaning it won't annoyingly block harmless requests. GPT-5.3 Codex is the first OpenAI model classified as high for cybersecurity capability. It's so good at finding vulnerabilities that OpenAI had to add extra safeguards. Within hours of Opus 4.6's release, it found over 500 previously unknown security vulnerabilities in open source code. Gemini 3 Pro uses thought signatures for better validation and has deep Google-scale safety infrastructure. DeepSeek V3.2 is open source, meaning the community can audit it, but there's also less centralized safety control. Safety round is tight. Opus and GPT edge ahead for transparency, final scores, and honestly, there's no single winner. Here's how I break it down. Choose Opus 4.6 if you need the deepest context window, enterprise knowledge work, and agent team coordination. It leads on GDP-Val, real professional tasks, by 144 ELO points over GPT 5.2. Choose GPT 5.3 Codex if you need the fastest, most capable coding agent. 77.3% on terminal bench is untouchable right now, and it's approaching human-level computer use. Choose Gemini 3 Pro if you want the best all-rounder. Top reasoning scores, native multimodal processing across text, video and audio, and seamless Google integration. Choose DeepSeek V3.2 if you want frontier-level performance at 1/10 the cost, or if you need open source. Gold medals at international math and coding competitions from a fully open model is genuinely unprecedented. The real story isn't which model is best. It's that 4 different companies from 3 different countries are pushing each other to build better AI faster than ever before. Drop a comment. Which model are you using right now? And if you want to see me test all 4 on the same project, hit subscribe. See you in the next one. 2 AI giants, same day, both claiming to be the best. On February 5th, Anthropic dropped Claude Opus 4.6. Hours later, OpenAI fired back with GPT 5.3 Codex. This is a war, and only one model can win. We're doing 5 rounds, head-to-head. Let's settle this. Round 1. Real-world professional tasks. Finance, legal, business analysis. The stuff that actually pays your bills. There's a benchmark called GDP-Val AA. It measures how well AI performs on tasks across 44 different professional occupations. Not toy problems, real work. Opus 4.6 scores 1,606 ELO. GPT 5.2, 1,462. That's a 144-point gap. In practical terms, Opus 4.6 produces the better result about 70% of the time. And GPT 5.2 was already beating human professionals 70.9% of the time on this same test. So Opus 4.6 is beating the model that was already beating humans. Round 1 goes to Opus 4.6. Round 2, coding. This is where it gets interesting because both companies are going all in on AI coding. On SWE Bench verified, real GitHub issues, real code bases, Opus 4.6 hits 79.4%, GPT 5.2 gets 80%. Basically a tie, slight edge to GPT, but Terminal Bench 2.0, which tests agentic coding in real terminal environments. This is where models actually write code, run it, debug it, and fix it themselves. Opus 4.6 scores 65.4%. GPT 5.2 base scores 62.2%. Now, here's the twist. OpenAI also released GPT 5.3 Codex on the same day, specifically optimized for coding, and that scores 77.3% on Terminal Bench. So if we're comparing the best coding model from each company, OpenAI's specialized model wins on that benchmark. But Opus 4.6 does all of this in one model. No separate version needed. I'm calling this a tie. Both companies have strong cases here. Round 3, and this one isn't close. How much information can each model hold in its head at once? Opus 4.6 now supports 1 million tokens. That's roughly 7 full novels loaded simultaneously. GPT 5.2 supports 400,000 tokens. Still impressive, but less than half. And it's not just the size, it's how well they use that context. On the MRCR V2 benchmark, which hides information deep inside massive amounts of text and tests if the model can find it, Opus 4.6 scores 76%. The previous best Claude model scored just 18.5% on the same test. This matters because context rot, where AI gets confused in long conversations, has been one of the biggest complaints about every AI model. Opus 4.6 basically solves that problem. Round 3, Opus 4.6 takes it convincingly. 2 rounds left and Opus 4.6 is leading. But GPT 5.2 has a weapon that could flip this entire comparison. Stay with me. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. I cover every major AI drop the moment it happens. Round 4, pure reasoning and math. And this is where GPT 5.2 fights back hard. On AIME 2025, competition-level mathematics, GPT 5.2 scores a perfect 100%. No tools, just raw math. Opus 4.6 scores around 93%. Still incredible, but not perfect. GPQA Diamond, graduate-level science questions, GPT 5.2 Pro hits 93.2%, and ARCAGI2, a test of abstract reasoning on problems the model has never seen before. GPT 5.2 scores 54.2% versus Opus 4.6 at 44.7%. When it comes to pure brain power on novel problems, GPT 5.2 has the edge. All tied up. Everything comes down to the final round. Final round. And this one is about what you're actually getting for your money. Safety first. Anthropic ran what they call the most comprehensive safety evaluation ever done on a frontier model. Opus 4.6 matches or beats its predecessor on alignment and has the lowest over-refusal rate of any Claude model, meaning it won't annoyingly refuse harmless questions. GPT 5.2 also made safety improvements, 30% fewer errors than GPT 5.1 and reduced deception from 4.8 to 2.1%. Both companies are taking this seriously. Now, pricing. Opus 4.6, $5 input, $25 output per million tokens. GPT 5.2 standard, $1.75 input, $7 output. GPT 5.2 Pro, $21 input, $63 output. So the base GPT 5.2 is significantly cheaper for standard tasks. But GPT 5.2 Pro, the one that matches Opus on quality, costs more than double. It's a split. GPT wins on base pricing. Opus wins on value at the top tier. So who actually wins? Here's my honest take. If you're a developer who needs the best coding agent, the deepest context window, and the most reliable performance on long professional tasks, Opus 4.6 is the better choice right now. It does everything in one model, it holds 1 million tokens, and it beat GPT 5.2 on the benchmark that measures real-world work by 144 ELO points. But if you need raw reasoning power, mathematical precision, or you want the cheapest entry point into frontier AI, GPT 5.2 is genuinely impressive and costs less for everyday use. The real winner? Us. Because this competition is pushing both companies to build better tools faster than ever. What model are you using right now? Drop it in the comments. And if you want to see me test both of these on a real project head-to-head, hit subscribe and I'll make that video next. I'll see you in the next one.